All right, guys, we're here. Pit Chatter Podcast, the official episode 1. Here from Trackside Eats, front side concession stand here at Franklin County Speedway. Odd place to have a podcast, but here we are nonetheless. I got Kimberly Austin here joining me as co-host today. Hi, Kimberly.
Thanks for rehabbing me.
Yeah, well, clearly, if you listen to episode 0, you'd know that I just couldn't find anybody else. I mean, so she just sits in here,
I just sit in for filler.
And I'm pretty sure our guest thinks that, I just couldn't find anybody else for that, too. So that's why he's here. But got two-time 2023 champion, Josh Phillips, winning the mini stock and the Outlaw4 Championship this year, Franklin County Speedway. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Thank you, man. It's definitely a surprise. That's what I was wondering. Like, what in the world am I being the first one for?
Well, I mean, it's hard not to, want to talk to a guy who's won 2 championships this year. I mean, and you had to earn both of them. I mean, it wasn't like, those guys gave them to you. You got a little bit of a lead, but you never could just get away from them.
Yeah, I was trying everything I could just to get a gap, man, and just, if it wasn't parts failure or just wrecks or just something getting in our way, I had a certain individual tell me too that I'm gonna earn those 2 championships if I do get it.
I don't know who that guy would be. But anyways, welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming on and joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about we're going to talk a little bit about your career to date and maybe what you got going on for the upcoming season. Champions, sometimes they move up, sometimes they come back to defend themselves. We'll find out what you're going to do here in just a minute. But some people probably don't know who Josh Phillips is. I mean, if you come here, obviously, it's that white 46 car or black, as every now and then in the black car. But some people probably don't know you. So give us a little 1 or 2 minute intro to who you are.
Well, I was born in Roanoke and lived there all my life. Grew up watching racing, coming up here when I was a kid, and I always just really loved it up here, man. It's just couldn't get over the point of the fact that we had a racetrack, a few miles down the road, and just really just loved it. And then life went on, and kind of forgot about this place a little bit, and then started racing go-karts and everything, and just kind of wondered how everything was, and come back and watched a few races, and it's like really just started taking back hold of me, how much I really missed this place and the action, and people just like family up here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your time in go-karts, man. I mean, that's a whole different breed, of racing than this is. People don't understand that there's such a massive difference. I have people that come from go-karts and they come over here and they go, "Oh my God, what are y'all doing?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, I started out 2004, 2005. I paid $1,000 for my first go-kart, and it had a motor on it already, and we were ready to go. Didn't really know nothing about tire prepping, and nowadays that's still a big deal, and especially with the cost of tires and stuff. And they, I think they're a whole nother level of chemists there,
Yeah.
But no, I started racing them and raced them for about 4 years, and by then I had like 2 or 3 different go-karts and won a couple of races. Just never really had the money to keep going and stuff. And by then I was having a baby, Adriana, my oldest, and just kind of laid back on it for a little while. Went out there and started it up every now and then, let it run, and that thing it run on methanol then, and that's when it was running Briggs flatheads, and I've been, got into a little bit better financial situation. I was talking to my wife. I said, really missing out on racing. And, she's like, well, if you want to get back into it, go ahead. And, I'll be supporting you doing it,
Yeah.
You were doing it before we got together. Ain't no reason to just go ahead and give it all the way up. So, the the last go-kart I had, I bought a whole nother motor for it. And by then they had moved to the Harbor Freight Predator racing engines.
Yep.
And them things were super cheap, man. We paid like $300 for those things. And
we need those for the cars here.
Yeah, exactly. And the motors and then the clutches for them was about the same price. And we went back racing and won a couple of races our first season out. And then the cost just started going up again on racing. It's like nowadays.
Yeah.
And been doing that for a while. Did that for about 4 more years. And my last year, it was mainly me and my brother doing it all together, anyways. And
Yeah.
he had to quit racing for a while, and I told him I was going to try out state racing, and I run a couple of races with it, but just definitely getting outclassed and outmoneyed.
Yeah.
You gotta. Then people take 7, 8 sets of tires with totally different preps in them, different durometer checks, all that stuff,
Yeah.
man. And it's hard to race against people like that, and stay consistent.
Yeah. And, people don't understand in go-kart racing, you can go run a weekly, race, and it is fairly cheap to go do that. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, you race against anybody for any money. I mean, they're serious. I mean, them guys, they're in business.
Oh, yeah, and they only pay top 3, so
right.
There may be 25 go-karts in there, 22 of them's going home and empty-handed and, done lost their butt out on a lot,
Right.
And it was just so much harder to do those last couple of years, and I really enjoyed it though, and come back here and watch some mini stock racing, and it's kind of notice I think the street stocks was gone by then.
Yeah.
And
or they were on their way out.
Or they were on their way out, definitely. And I was talking to my brother. Me and him still had a lot of stuff together, and
yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm really giving a thought about this mini stock. Mini stocks are blowing up, and you just find them online, man. You still nowadays you can find a decent roller for between $35,000 and $7,000, and the resale value is still there as long as you didn't bend them.
Right.
And like with go-karts, you buy a go-kart for $3,000, and hitting the track with it. Well, one race it's $1,500.
Right.
And so I ended up buying him out and trading my stuff and come on here with a mini stock.
Right. What drew you to the mini stocks? I mean, was it that price point? Because you said you come and watch some races. Obviously, there was other divisions out there.
It was mainly just the cost of it, and it's just like no tire prepping really, here and basically anywhere. Everybody runs the same Hoosier tires, and it's just like, man, I just think I'd have a whole lot more fun doing that,
right.
Racing cars, and that's what I've always wanted to do anyways, and
right.
plenty of video games out there to be racing big cars on too.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I was like, what, I'm gonna try to sell everything I got, and it just so happened by then, Zach had put his car up for sale from Bowman Gray, and I hit him up, and we traded even.
Yeah. Zach Staley we're talking about here. He's always got something for sale.
Oh yeah, he's a wheeling dealing fool, man.
I think he's got a cup car right now that's street legal for sale for like $20,000.
The Fusion, he had a Dodge Ram pickup race truck for a while too. And I couldn't believe he got rid of that thing. He loved that thing, and but yeah, him and his son were pretty cool people.
Yeah,
they I raced mine one season, and I was actually out of town working. And he had actually called me wanting to buy everything back, and I was like, "Man, I just got started."
Right.
and it's just, man, I love mini stocks. It's just,
yeah. And that was 2016 when you got the car.
Yep.
Take us from 2016 leading up to this season.
Well, started out late 2016. We had our first race, and by then my brother-in-law, he started helping me out a lot, and we made the car just simple looking, no fancy graphics and stuff like that. And we come up here for our first race, and that thing was leaking oil all over the place. And we finally got that figured out, tightened up.
That's something mini stocks do a lot, is leak oil. I can tell you from 2020, we spent more money on Speedy Drive for mini stocks than we did any other division.
Yeah, I think you wasted 8 or 9 bags just on me one day.
Between you and Brittany. Brittany was breaking every time she showed up to the racetrack too. So
definitely,
it was bad.
But we run the first race, and we broke. We had a back of a starter come off, and it tore the bell housing up.
Yeah,
and then found another transmission and put it in, and come back, and I think it was like 26 mini stocks at Carolina mini stock race.
Yeah.
And
I don't think that was actually a Carolina race. I think it was just one of ours.
Yeah. And we didn't do too bad. I think we come up to like 15th or something like that. And just racing against that many cars and only 2 races in, a lot of nerves working through and stuff. And then
right.
And then the next season we we pulled the motor back out because we know it was pretty wore out anyways, and we sent it off and got a Harmon's machine shop here in Roanoke, and they rebuilt it for me, and we put it in there. Car run pretty good with it the next season, and we run. I think that's when you run a half a season, and then complications happen, I guess.
Yeah. Complications happen. Yeah.
And so we just I think we kind of parked it and went the motor mile a couple times, and that was it for that season for 17.
Yeah.
And then 18 we went to, I think that's when South Boston, wasn't it?
Yep, because Motor Mile was shut down. Yeah.
Motor Mile shut down, and we all went to South Boston and run there. And
what'd you think of running a mini stock there?
it was super cool. It, definitely a lot smooth, one of the smoothest racetracks I've been at. But it's just, they're fast paced. You better be get ready. But they were pretty good people too. Some of the faculty people we didn't really get along with too well, but you can't get along with everybody.
Right.
And I think we finished 4th or 5th in points. I could be wrong. I think it was something like that, but the best we ever finished there was 3rd. And race against Corey and Dennis and Doodle a couple of times up there, and
right.
I think that's when I think Chad was racing too, Chad Burnop, and the other Chad too. He was racing, and a couple other drivers, but it was pretty fun, But
it had to be a little different experience down there at South Boston. I mean, I guess it's fast like here, but totally different because it's so smooth and just a whole different atmosphere down there.
Oh yeah,
compared to here and Motor Mile. I mean, it's just a whole different world.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're pretty good at their stuff, and it was actually the first place I actually got to take my first ride at too. We going into, I think we was about 10 laps into the race, and car had been chunking tires for some reason. Couldn't figure out why. And, we were still new to setups and stuff. And
right.
I, just had passed Drew Holdren, and set it off into 3, and that thing blew the right front, and wasn't nothing to do but just to hold on. And I hit the wall, and my mom and dad was actually right there in 3. And they seen me hit it, and that's the first time we bent that car. And after the race, Dennis Holdren and Drew come up to me, and they told me, like, bring your car down to the shop, we'll get it straight. Yeah. So they straightened it out, and I think 2 weeks later we were back racing again. Nice.
2019, did you go to Motor Mile that year?
Yeah, we run Motor Mile a little bit 2019. Try to run we run the whole season actually, and just try to be competitive, man. But it's like race against Doodle and Dennis and Corey Dunn, and and all the other drivers that's been racing there, man. You got to be on your stuff, man. And
100%.
With these cars, a little bit goes a long ways.
It does.
And I think you could probably be a turn away from being in out in the outfield, not knowing how to get back with your setup.
Right.
And but we didn't do too bad. I think we finished 6th in points there. Our best finish was 7th. So we're still learning.
That was a tough season. I mean, there was like 30 cars there the first race, and there was a good 25, 26 almost every race.
Yeah, and I think that's the same year that we changed our number to 46.
Yep.
And we had our car wrapped and stuff. Try to be all fancy,
Yeah.
It's just speed versus fancy. You want to be speed. And
that's right.
Definitely the money went the wrong way on that one, but we had a good time. And I think that season was the demise of that race car. We put it in the wall again. Had basically the same thing happen. And ended up buying a whole other tube chassis car. Yeah. And trying to run it for a while. And I think Tommy Hall's got it now, so he's running it.
Right. There's a big debate all the time about tube chassis versus a floor pan car. Where do you land there?
Well, I got a little bit of both. My white car, it's a floor pan car. It's got some tube in it from repair from where it'd been put in the wall from the previous people that had it for me.
Yeah. Missing part of the firewall too,
missing part of the firewall.
Got a little weight added for that one.
Had to add some weight, and but I got a tube chassis car too. The one that Tommy's got, it's a left-hander.
Yeah,
and that thing, it's got all kinds of adjustability in it, and but my other one, it's a perimeter chassis. It's straight up, and the setup wise versus the pan and the tube is pretty close.
Yeah.
Mine's more towards, even though it's tube, it favors a pan car anyways. The way it's set up, and
Right.
I think it'll be just as fast, if not faster, than a white car come this season.
Well, it depends on who's driving.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
other driver, my driver that drove for me this year, Tyler, he did pretty good. He really surprised me. I thought
did.
he was going to be a hothead out there in mini stocks too, but he settled right on
He
down.
saved all of his hothead for the pits. you know?
Yeah, he saved everything for the pits. Yeah, but he did really good. He really surprised me. And they got to see where I was at. On what I've learned and from other people and how I was able to apply it to my cars and really down to the last race, cars were right there neck and neck on times. And having a motor that I helped put together, and then having another motor that been sitting around for 2 years, and one was definitely a whole lot weaker than the other, and it was just to me it was like a check on the list, man.
Yeah.
Being an owner and a driver and racing against my own cars and stuff.
Yeah, having two cars, racing them, on the same nights had to be tough. I mean, I know like the last race. I mean, you were the last guy here. I mean, I left.
Oh,
you were the last guy here on that Saturday before the Sunday race.
Yeah. We were here till 7:00.
Yep.
And we go out there on the racetrack for practice and times and stuff, and the fuel pump would just die, and then. And then it come back and like nothing was wrong. And I've had this issue a couple times before this race, and I knew I was going to have to address it. And by then, coming up to the last race, I done went through the whole car, like it was during the off season deal, like everybody else does, and fixed things that I thought was wrong. Changed things that I thought was wrong, and just didn't change that part. And that's what kind of bit us in the butt for the time trials.
Right.
And I think if it didn't go bad when it did through the corner, I think we could have been right there with Brittany, if not right there on her, or probably past her, with crossed fingers probably.
yeah. You never know. She's tough to beat here for sure.
Oh yeah. You gotta run that girl, man. She's one of the ones that runs up front all the time, man. And,
Yep. No doubt. He was talking about Tyler Ashley there.
Yeah.
Driving his other car, and Brittany Cochran, who won the last race with us here. Obviously, 2020. Getting into that, 2020 was kind of a weird year for everybody on Earth.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely.
Weird here, we had both a challenging year and a really good year at the same time.
Yeah,
we didn't get to run our first race until June, which was really weird, and then once we started racing, it was pretty good because nobody else was open. So.
Yeah. I think y'all did pretty good that year. All the classes had plenty of cars. At least 10 cars per class. And even the late models. I think Super Streets actually did pretty good that year for you too, didn't they?
Yeah, I think it was Chargers. We had not Super Streets that year, but yeah, same class sorta ish.
Yeah.
It's all those big car classes. They're all the same but different.
Yeah.
They all just go together.
Yeah, and it's the same people racing in them. You know what I mean? It's just.
I think if somebody was pretty fast on changing shocks and carburetor, they could probably run late model and Super Street.
We had
one night.
Tristan Barnes did that, I believe, one night last 2022.
Oh wow!
I believe. Yep. 2021, 2022. I believe one of those years you didn't race a whole lot.
No. What was I doing? Yeah, I think I was just running some here and there. I think we probably run eight or nine races at the most, and just things were changing leading up to now, and we just decided just to calm down on it, and got luck right at the end of the season. Got lucky and caught a couple of breaks with sponsorship help and stuff. And,
right.
Just making things work, man. And being a car owner and trying to run everything yourself and going out here and finding sponsors. You know how the deal is, being a promoter and stuff. It's hard to find the money. Now
it is.
And it's even trying to find sponsorship for these young ones right here. Like they want to do racing. It'd be hard. It's hard to find it for them because
it is.
Everything's done got so tight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that people have found other ways to spend their money. Yeah, every business has found other ways to spend their money. Whereas racing was looked at as, I don't know the right word for that, but it was the perfect place for people to sponsor and at one time.
Oh yeah.
And now, whether that's the grandstands are full, grandstands are empty, doesn't make any difference. 2020, the grandstands were pretty well full every race, and we still didn't sell any sponsorship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was very hard to come by sponsorship.
Oh yeah.
Even going into the next season after that, so just. There's a lot of things in the economy and everything else that kind of plays into that factor too.
Well, having the government shut everything down too, and then and then you could just tell, where I deliver bread, so working with the public, you could just tell the public was just getting antsy to do something.
Yeah.
And then people were finding out this place was still running.
Oh yeah.
And of course the racers and their people found out this place was still going, so that everybody was coming here and a couple other tracks that was trying to stay open, like Ace.
Yep.
And just got lucky, and we all had a what was that banner you said that was up here?
It's a peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Yeah. We weren't supposed to have over 1,000 people, and I don't think we ever exceeded that.
Yeah. No, I think it was 998.
Yeah. Well, that one lady was pregnant, so it was 999. So.
Wait, she had twins.
Oh man, we're in trouble. We hit the 1,000. Didn't have room for nobody else. We were supposed to shut the gates. I don't know, man. That was a weird time in life,
It was
back then, for sure.
It was fun, but definitely some memories to kind of look back on, especially when we get older and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be something to say we lived through that ignorance, anyways.
Yeah.
This season, man, you kind of come loaded for bear, ready to win a championship, and here we are.
Yeah, we got in a little better position with money and stuff, and I decided to sell my house, and we had a little bit of money put up for that, but I really wasn't doing nothing else. Didn't really have no bills, so we laid back money and all the money that I made on the side from landscaping and stuff, just put it towards racing, and the sponsorship still chimed in, and man, they actually ended up giving me more this year, so I was able to invest more in my program that I got, and it's just really need to see. I wanted to go in this year to really see where I was at, and wanted to win a championship and do it all on my own, and I had plenty of help from people, even from family members that were helping me in the past, and with Tyler, he was coming to support me at the track too, and just my wife and kids stepping it up and just being there. My wife tried to spot a few times this year. She did okay. She's got a lot to learn.
Well, I mean, you can't expect her to be perfect the first time out, for sure.
Right. And I just, like I said, I just wanted to see where I was at, and need to see for myself if this is if I'm actually really good at what I'm doing.
Right.
And just I put in the hard work, and she'll tell you there's been plenty of times I'd be out there in the front yard working on my stuff, or even at my new shop that I'm at now, staying until close every night working on it,
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough game trying to run up front. I mean, and that was one of the things I wanted to. You've kind of been from the guy who just started out, and you broke your first race, and you've kind of limped along. I believe you won your first race 2020.
Yeah.
That's
so I mean,
Steven
and
Tyler
Bush got into it.
Yep. I remember that one. So you kind of you've been through the paces. You've been that guy that's ran in the back. You've been that guy that's ran in the middle. You've been that guy that's been just outside the top 5, and now you're a contender in every race.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think took? Obviously, the experience, the laps, everything plays into that. But what do you think it is that took to get you to that point to where you starting to win races?
Just hard work and determination, paying attention every day, every time I'm working on a car, what I'm doing to it, keeping notes, definitely trying to figure out, try to get I think the whole problem with racing too is it's done got so far out of hand on a technical aspect. We really all don't go back to keeping it simple and figure out what really makes a car fast and easy to drive. And, with Doodle, and, he's been he's been there with me, kind of giving me advice since the day I started. He sold me my first parts for my car so I could run here.
Right.
And, he gave me some good advice, and then, talking to his dad, and his dad was helping me too, and getting hooked up with Ronnie Bird race cars. The end of last season, he kind of just, he asked me to come and help him, just be an extra hand for him. And he showed me some stuff, and he basically, look, you don't have to get technical with these little cars. You only got so much with 101 wheelbase anyways.
Right.
And so, I kind of just took what I gathered from last season and a little bit of the season before, and just run with it this year, and just stayed, kept turning wrenches at the shop, so I went turning it here and turning laps and trying to get wins.
I mean, and you're a guy that practiced a lot too. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The only guys that practiced more than you was like some of these stock 4 guys that just love to come out and make laps.
Oh yeah. I think you put a case of beer in the infield and said, "All right, boys, you got to do 10 laps," and I think they would kill each other out there for a case of beer.
Oh, they would. There is no doubt about it.
I give it up to them, man. They beat and bang on them cars, and they make them run, man. That's a cool little class you got. I think it needs a couple little things, but man, I think it's great.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most interesting things we
It's
got.
wild.
Yeah.
But I mean, you spend a lot of time here practicing. I mean, I mean, most of the time by yourself. I mean, you'd show up, unload the car. Sometimes you'd bring the trailer a day before so you could have more time. And
yeah, and it just takes a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
Like I said, paying attention to what you're doing. And listening. Get out there and listen to the car, see how it's actually sat on the racetrack. I think I had I had somebody come and run my car for me a few times around the track because I wanted to see what it looked like and how it was running, just from an outside perspective.
Sure.
And, they brought it in, and I made some adjustments. I jumped back in the car, and it just started working, and just, like I said, a lot of hard work, man, and a lot of sacrifice. My wife, she was talking about, she's like, "Hey, look, your oldest is taking a lot of interest. I think she's wanting to get in one too." I said, "All right." By then I done got the black car, and she's like, "Well, won't you just put her in one of yours?" I was like, "No, I'm gonna put her back to where I was at. I'm gonna buy her a cheaper penny stock. And, I got decent stuff to put with it,
Right.
And get her started in that stuff. So, that way, if one day I decide to, buy a limited, come run limited here or run late model here." Whatever, how you have the rules set up for those, I can, and I'll have that car and she can run it.
Right. Yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, you mentioned your wife and you mentioned the sacrifice. I mean, it's, all the hours you're spending in the shop and all the hours you're spending at the racetrack, that's time you're not spending with her. So, you got to give her a lot of credit there.
Oh, yeah, she could be like some people I know, like, look, either me or this place,
100%.
You need to pick it,
There's a lot of marriages that end, right here.
Oh, yeah, and, I deliver bread in the morning, so I get up at 3 o'clock. So, I'd leave straight from work, go get the trailer, load the car up, and then come straight here. And, I wouldn't leave here, you seen it, 6, 7 o'clock, be one of the last ones leaving.
Oh, yeah.
And, the trailer only stayed here a couple of times if there wasn't nothing wrong with the car.
Yeah.
And, it's, if it wasn't for my wife and kids, man, definitely seeing the hard work I was doing and just kind of dealing with the sacrifice that I was putting up with, and they were putting up with me sacrificing for it. I don't think I'd be here winning 2 championships this year.
Yeah, for sure. Earlier you mentioned Doodle Lang and Eddie Lang is his dad.
Yeah.
It's got to feel good that a guy like that who's won. I don't know how many races he's won here or Motor Mile. A lot.
It is. It's to me. It's surprising. I lived in Roanoke, single parent. We didn't have no money. And couldn't afford to put me in anything racing. Anyways, we went to Thunder Valley Speedway and raced go-karts there, and had some fun every now and then there. But and just being able to do it, and then meet him and his dad and stuff, and a lot of people along the way, man. This class and just with the racing period, man, everybody over here at Franklin County, we all know each other, and we may not know each other personally, but we all think highly of each other up here, and just to be able to fit in somewhere like this, man, and and then like you said with Doodle Lang, kind of giving me advice and showing me some tricks and stuff, and Eddie and Ronnie and all them, man. It's been a blessing, and having family members come in and stay with you and help.
Yeah.
And even the ones that didn't stay,
Right.
just blessed with their help too, because if it weren't for them, my racing career with this could have been a whole lot shorter,
Yeah, sure.
So, but yeah, it's wonderful,
Yeah. What is your plans? 2-time champion this past year. Don't really have two divisions that that car fit in this year. But what's your plans? Going forward into 2024.
Well, I plan on coming on racing. Probably, I don't know if I'll be able to race the first race, but definitely should be in by the second race. Right now, we're looking for a new home, and hopefully it has a garage.
Yeah.
And that way I can get everything I need in one spot. But yeah, I plan on racing.
It better have a big garage. You already got 2 cars, and you're talking about buying your daughter one. It better have a big garage.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Have you found a mansion over there in Hunting Hills or something? I mean,
No, they wouldn't let us. They wouldn't let my kind up there anyways. They
I don't know. They let Whitey back in the day, so I'm not sure. You might be okay.
Well, like you just said, back in the day.
Well, yeah, okay.
But nowadays, everybody, you probably go up there and throw a couple bottle rockets and they'd get you evicted out somehow.
Probably.
But no, yeah, looking for a place, maybe here in Rocky Mount, Franklin County, and some with a couple acres on it, If it don't have a garage, I'll get one built,
Right.
Maybe talk to Wheat and them, see if they can get me some concrete poured. And
That's
stuff
right.
Too,
That's right.
And just go from there.
Yeah.
I'll still be coming back and racing. I got my trailer is my building on wheels too. So
Yeah, I understand. So, I mean, is the goal to defend your championship?
I'm gonna try my best to.
I mean, the format for the championship kind of allows you to miss a race or two.
Yeah.
This time not it. Last year's points championship was the full season, and
Really this season I wasn't planning on running for a championship. We was just planning on running a couple of races. And, Daniel was still racing. I think Scott Foley was still racing, so we was trying to figure out how to outrun them. And Daniel had his car on a rail those last couple of races, and and he ended up selling his. I wish he didn't.
I think he wishes he didn't.
Yeah. He reminisced. I never seen anybody reminisce about a car in one season. Like he has.
He's still doing it.
But come back and racing against them and stuff, and we end up winning. I think the third race. And then you had Outlaw come out, and we won the first race with the same car, and just I talked to her. And, we hadn't sold our house at that time yet, and I was like, hey, look, I really don't. I feel like I'm gonna miss out on something here if I don't keep the ball rolling.
Opportunity was there.
Yeah. The opportunity kept presenting itself. And, And even by then, I didn't have my new motor. I had most of my stuff paid for the season. Right. So my sponsors were picking up most of it, and they, she allowed me to do it. Like I said, if it went for her and their wife and the kids, and my dad, and mom, and them kind of let me do my thing. Yeah. And coming to support me every weekend too. I wouldn't do it without them.
Yeah.
But
probably had to have a lot of makeup time this winter.
Yeah,
probably been busy on the honey-do list, maybe.
Boy, you need and all that stuff. And, definitely. And, landscaping ended, so we're waiting on for that stuff to come back on and start making more money with it. And, hopefully, trying to get a bigger. I want to get a big garage. I really do. I want to be like a 30 by 40.
Yeah. You'll be over there with a mini DEI over there.
Exactly.
The garage mahal on a small scale.
Yeah. I gotta figure out who could be the Richard Childress running around that place.
Right.
No, but it's just kept the ball rolling, and wins started happening, and top threes were happening, and I think if we went top three the whole season, we were broke.
Right.
And even with some of the races I had to race against this year, and the actions I had to fight, face and fight off with that, this season's been worth it, every bit of it. I wouldn't take none of it back. probably take a hold of a lot more things.
Yeah, speaking of those racers, and you had a little rivalry going this year, building, and you and Gary Fitzgerald traded barbs on and off the track. You never got into a fight, but y'all talked a lot on the microphone this year.
We talked a lot in each other's ear, and thought we had understandings, and went out there on the racetrack, and it was just like we never talked at all, and just started hitting each other. And I think I even drew a few more fans into the racetrack too.
I remember some nights at payout, one would be in front of the other and just jaw, and while the next one listened. I'm like, boys, come on now.
Oh yeah, he's new, and he's a little bit more well off than I am. He's got a couple great race cars.
He does.
I think if he was to work on the behind the wheel a little bit more, I think I was actually looking for him to be more competitive with this year.
Yeah.
Just with the stuff he's got, and it was just, the inconsistency just wasn't there. I was trying to be consistent. He was trying to figure out things with his car and what he can do and what he can and cannot handle, and it was just, we was meeting in the middle a lot, and it ended up sparking that rivalry kind of.
Yeah. Y'all were definitely finding a way to meet. No matter what happened in the race, y'all were right there together.
Oh, I know. It's like at that first money race with the Outlaw. I think it was $1,500 to win or something.
Yeah.
Me and him both took off, and I was in the lead. He was second place on the first lap, and something had happened. Brittany and Jesse Yop had gotten loose or something, and they fell back about a half a straightaway. And I looked in the mirror. I'm like, great, this is the break we need. Maybe we can keep this going. And he spun me out, and just kind of went on from there, and it screwed us both. And I think that was actually really the first time I actually kind of got really upset with him. Because we had a chance. We both had a chance.
Right.
And it was just it's a racing deal.
Yeah, I think if Gary raced more, I think he'd get a lot more consistent, and it'd be some good racing between you guys.
Oh yeah, I think he could be all right. Definitely. And I think there at one time he was talking about bringing his kids in on doing the racing thing with him too. Yeah. And I think I met a couple of them, but
I believe he tested one or both of them one day.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, he's at the point where he's trying to get his feet wet.
Yeah.
He's trying to learn his limits, just like you had to. He ain't had all that seat time yet.
Oh yeah.
And when you have a fast car like he has, you're.
Yeah, you were lucky. Your car wasn't quite fast enough when you started to mess up that much.
Right. Yeah. I started off slow, and I was slow, and progressively my stuff gotten faster. I gotten faster with my stuff. And you take a new guy like that and you put him in a fast race car, either they're going to have the balls to run with it, or they're going to just mess up, for a while. And like I said, he's got good stuff, and he can be a force to reckon with if he, just got some more seat time.
Yeah, for sure. I enjoyed listening to y'all on the microphone. I mean, it was fun. Every week y'all were talking to each other through, and let the fans enjoyed it.
Oh yeah. I heard a bunch of them cheering and booing me this year. And I'm like, man, I ain't never got booed.
Fans loved it. I mean,
as long as they're making noise.
Oh yeah. Publicity for the racetrack, definitely.
100% for the racetrack and for yourself. I mean, you never know what sponsor's sitting up there and going, well, I like the way this guy handled himself. You know what I mean? You never know which ones that I don't like the way this guy handled himself this week.
I think right there at the end of it, I think he was having a rivalry with Stonewall, and I think was it West Golf was kind of getting involved with it too.
a little bit of everybody for sure. It was,
they're halfway through the season. West was, their team was, coming across something that was working, and they were really fast on restarts. Yeah,
they had really picked up their game.
Oh yeah,
Wes, raced on and off, with us for a few years, and did a really good job. Just most of the time, just being out there, being riding, and trying to stay out of everybody's way.
Oh yeah,
and then especially this season, man, he just continually, picked up and got him a win.
Yeah, and we broke that night, and and it was actually between him and Fitzgerald.
It was.
And he was able to hold him off, and to see that guy win was pretty cool too. It was a lot of firsts. Stonewall got his first win, and just so happened me and him he blew a tire, and me and him got to an accident and ended up taking me out. And
Yep.
But he won his first race. Them two guys are really cool people, man. Good families.
Yeah, the mini stocks was really competitive this year. I mean, I believe you only have two wins for the season in the mini stocks.
Three. It was three.
Okay, I'm wrong. But so I mean that shows you how competitive it is, because we probably had close to 20 races, 15, 18, 20 races somewhere in that neighborhood. So for you to win the championship, off of 2 or 3 wins there, I mean that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and dragging the car back home and making repairs, trying to get. I was glad we had like that whole month and a half off of racing for the last race.
Yeah,
because my car was beat up. It probably wouldn't have finished these last 2 races, on top of each other that night, the last night of racing. But it was definitely exciting, especially running with the Outlaws and stuff,
Yeah,
them guys, that class was developing, and Jason Garwood had come up here.
Yep.
I've been begging him to come up here for about a year anyways, because he just got back into running front wheel drives.
Yep.
And he finally come, and he was a force to reckon with too, man.
Yeah. Oh, especially an Outlaw, but I mean he got him a mini stock win this year.
Yeah.
Kind of a crazy night and how all that happened, but I mean he was fast enough, he could have won on any given night.
Yeah, well, it was 4 races that night.
Yeah.
2 mini stocks. 2
I don't know what
Outlaws.
idiot had that idea. For that.
Hey, it turned out great though.
It was entertaining.
Yeah,
for sure.
He got him a mini stock win. He was super stoked. But like I told you when he was talking about coming, if he comes, the first race, he may finish no worse than 4th, but the second race he's either going to win it or he's going to be right there going for it.
Right.
I raced against him in go-karts, and they actually used to build some of my motors for me.
Yeah.
And they helped us out on setups too, on the go-karts too, and him and his brother Jerry, they were really good people. They know their stuff, and I think to me, I think he's the best front wheel drive I've seen run.
Recently, Barry Wilson probably be another.
Yeah, besides Barry.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that Barry Wilson won the track championship here.
Yeah.
In mini stock 2016, I believe.
And he got it to handle. He got
he
to
did.
go through the corners just as good as a rear wheel drive car did.
Yep.
And that's why I was just like, coming into running Outlaw and then having a mini stock race, I was like, man, just how's this going to turn out? Yeah, running one car in 2 classes, you just didn't know.
Oh yeah.
You were kind of at everybody else's hands because.
Luckily, most nights they weren't on the same night. Most nights.
Yeah. And a couple of nights that we were, you didn't know. Somebody could be waiting for you, gunning for you a little bit, or something just happened and just take you out.
Or your rivalry,
race,
spill over, whatever.
Kind of waiting at the gate, see if they're going to show back up the next weekend. But no, it was like I said, I wouldn't take nothing back, man. It was just a great year, exciting year, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. You've toyed with the idea of going late model racing, super street racing, some sort of something there.
Yeah, Tyler had his car sitting here a whole season on jack stands.
On jack stands, yeah.
And
with no cover at all on it.
Well, he tried to put a cover on it, but the wind here, the wind here's a little bit much.
I think he invested more money in tires than he did race fuel.
I mean, maybe.
But no, he. I met him when he brought his car down here for the first time for practice, and I actually
we were over there trying to figure out whether it was a 603 or 604 or whatever.
I don't know nothing about them cars.
Yeah.
And I actually entertained it to him like, hey, I'll trade you my car for your car straight up.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it. It was a good thing he didn't do it.
Yeah.
I think we ended up blowing that motor up, not too long after that.
Right.
But we, he got out there and run, and then we were kind of, we told him we'd help him because it was just him and his daddy and his girlfriend.
Right.
And me and Danny tried to help him and just whatever he needed, wrench turning and stuff. We jumped in there and we helped him. He was a good kid, man.
Yeah.
Good family. His daddy's cool stuff.
Watching him out here that first day, I didn't think he was going to make much of a race car driver.
Oh yeah,
but man, he sure came a long way.
Oh yeah. He has. He especially having the wrong gear and running a 602 or the 603.
It was like a hybrid of some sorts.
Yeah. Shoot, that thing. I don't know if it wasn't going to blow up, man. It I don't know. You probably need to put it in the junkyard.
He was determined to race that thing.
Oh yeah, he was.
And he run a lot of races that first season.
Yes, he did.
I mean, because we were running late models and then super streets every other week, and then the Grand Nationals came, and they're like, "Hey, you want to race with us?" Yeah.
And that was actually the first. I think the first night they come, that was the first time I got in it.
Right.
He's never run 100 laps.
I believe you got the hard charger that night. Is that what it was?
Yeah. We both. He run his car the first 50. I run the second 50. Never got in one, and how sensitive the clutches are and them things. Yeah. It's just insane on how crazy their clutches are. And he told me, he said, get out there and just run some laps. If you could pass them, just don't go crazy. Yeah. And of course, you tear it up, you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
and that was kind of mine and his understanding too with the mini stock.
Sure.
I did what most people wouldn't do, and that was put him in a brand new mini stock that's never, and it was a super street at one time, just never hit the racetrack, and he did pretty good, and we started dead last in hard charger, in the Grand National Series, and we come up to fourth, in 50 laps, got lapped like 5 times, but.
And that was a pretty good field. I think it was 12, 13 cars, maybe 14. It was a good field of cars.
Running a wore-out race car against these screaming.
Well, I think that worked in your favor, though.
Yeah,
because they got so much power, they couldn't hook it up.
No, they couldn't get through the corners. And if they was able to get through the corners, man, they'd be so much faster.
And I believe that was a race Jeremy Mayfield was in, right?
Yeah.
So you got to go out and race Jeremy Mayfield. I mean, that's pretty cool. Man.
I got to wave at him a few times as he's passing.
Yeah, going on by.
Yeah.
I believe he won both of those races that night.
Yeah, he did. He did. I think that girl that was running the 3-car, she finished third.
Yep.
And on the last race of that night, I ended up passing her. On the last lap. And that was fun. That was a lot of fun. And got to Ryan Thomas and Tyler Ashley got hooked up. Him and Harley and all them, they got hooked up and brought his old car back out.
Yep.
Tyler got to practice it, here that day, and I just so happened to have both my cars here practicing them. And that was the same day that Tyler got the mini stock for the first time.
Yeah.
And Harley let me. No, that was the second. That was the second time, because the first time I blew the motor up in the black car. The head gasket blew in it, and just oil and caught on fire. Mm-hmm. But no, I brought both cars, and he tested one for me, and talking to Harley a little bit, and he asked me how long I've been racing. Just got to sit down with one of them old timers, man. That's had a lot of laps around this place. And,
he's got a lot of stories.
Oh yeah, and I was actually getting ready to get back in my black car and go try it out and check everything over after a couple adjustments and repairs I had to do to it. And he yelled over at Ryan, and he told Ryan, he said, "Hey, adjust some seatbelts a little bit more. Josh is going to get it and run it." And I was like, "What?" Because he had asked me, a few minutes ahead of time. He's like, you want to practice it, go ahead. I was like, no. I said, y'all just got that car out, it's y'all's baby, I'm kind of just trying to, I was so fixated on trying to keep the mini stock and keep them going and trying to do my own thing. And, he kind of just didn't give me a choice. And I got out in there, and I think Tyler run a 40, 1440, and I run a 1470, 1480.
Right.
It was pretty neat, pretty good experience,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Did, those experiences in a bigger car make you really want to get into a bigger car, or are you just happy being in the mini stock?
It's definitely opened up some ideas of maybe, if somebody was to present the opportunity, I'd jump all over it, you know. But, it maybe in a couple of years, give it a shot, just see how everything is, see where mini stocks is at by then,
Who knows? Who knows where mini stocks
racing's going to be at here?
I mean, you ain't wrong, man. I mean, before we started recording SRX C stock operations, they're done. They're gone. Crazy time. I mean, literally 6 hours ago, they were promoting their last race, their 6 or whatever. Uh-huh. They had just announced it or whatever, and boom.
Oh, so they're done.
They're gone.
Wow. I haven't paid much attention on that. Yeah,
it happened like nuts. right before we went to start recording. I mean, it's just
oh wow,
it's crazy.
That's I thought that would kind of blow up into a big thing, but I guess you got all them. You got 10 or 12 of those cars, and I think Tony only had 2 or 3 guys working on them. Yeah. During a week.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it was a big expense on that deal, though. I think they took 13 or 14 cars to the racetrack every time, ran 12 of them, had a couple of backups.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be hard keeping up. I mean, you kept up 2 cars. Oh. You think about keeping up 14 cars?
Yeah, if you didn't have to work on one weekend.
Especially the way they wrecked them.
Yeah, they beat Bang hard about as hard as we did.
Well, I mean, they were there to put on a show, and I mean, they definitely did that. Hate to see that series go. Yeah. You talk about where racing's going to be at. I mean, that's like with the mini stocks. We haven't posted the rules yet. We're really close on that, but
I know I'm having a lot of people in my
my Lord,
that I talk to, and they're all like, "Hey, would you does I know you talk to Langley a little bit more than we do. Has he said anything?" I'm like, "Well, no."
I mean, they don't have a phone.
Trying to figure it out.
They can't call. They don't have a phone. I mean,
fingers are broke.
Yeah.
Voice to talk.
I mean. Most of the time I answer people's phone calls. I mean, most of the time. I mean, don't call me like early in the morning or nothing. Yeah. When you're on your bread route, just don't bother calling me.
I ain't gonna call you with a wake up call.
After that, you'll be all right. I might answer the phone. If I don't, I'll call you back typically.
Oh yeah. I have a rule. My phone. I think it's set right now at 8:30. It's on Do Not Disturb, and if it's an emergency, you better call me twice.
Yeah, I've texted you sometimes and got to think that you were on sleep or Do Not Disturb or whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, I understand though. I mean, you get up that early.
Oh yeah, you get up between 2:40. My alarm starts going off at 2:45. I'm hitting the floor at least by 3:15. Yeah. And people need breath.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially with this weather. You gotta make sure you got enough out there for them. You get their milk sandwiches or whatever they're making.
Eggs, beer, and bread. I think that's what they go for.
Yeah, for sure. But mini stock rules they'll be out here shortly. They may be out before this podcast gets posted, but
I think I'll be checking myself then.
That class is an interesting one because and we've got this kind of we're in the middle of this divide. You've got Carolina tracks, which are basically all by Carolina Mini Stock Challenge rules. Yeah. And then you've got Motor Mile, Lonesome Pine, and Kingsport, which are all on different rules, but slightly different rules for themselves. But they're way different. I'm not going to say they're way different. They're just quite a bit different than the Carolina Mini Stock Tour. When it comes to the tube chassis and I believe the aftermarket intake
and the front wheel drive,
the rear ends, and they don't allow front wheel drives and. It's been hard for me to kind of bring those two together, especially without having a tech man previously. We got Donald Clay on as our tech guy for this year.
And I think that's the biggest thing, too, is finding a tech man or even a couple of tech men for this class that can police both all 3 styles of race cars. Yeah. Tube chassis or Mustang, they're both rear-wheel drive cars. We could take what's in a tube chassis, like the quick change rear end, the 4.9-inch rear end. Yeah. We could put them in there and vice versa. We could put the 7.5, the 8.8, the 9-inch quick change in a tube chassis car.
Sure.
That's, my black car's got a stock rear end in it.
Right.
But, when it comes to front wheel drives, it's a whole nother animal there,
Yeah, it is.
And they're still trying to get their cars to work to go through the corners, as well as ours do. Yeah. Off the corner and down the straightaways, they're faster. But
once they figure that out, we're a whole different rule book, okay? Because marrying them now is trying to get to front wheel drives to you.
Right.
Eventually, it's going to be the other way around.
Right. And I think that's the whole purpose of starting the Outlaw4 class this year too, was to bring in more front wheel drives.
Yeah. Which really didn't work, but
it worked. I think it worked a little bit for you. It got them the idea that hey, look, we could still run. Barry Wilson was running the mini stocks. We could still go run mini stocks. We could still. This class is kind of a.
I tell people all the time that if the racers were held to the same standard of telling the truth that the promoter is, racing would be booming.
Yeah.
Because either that or it would be completely over with. One or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, because 90% of the racers are gonna lie to the promoter. I mean, whether that's I'm coming this weekend. I mean, my first race I ever had here, I had 32 late models signed up. Okay. 32.
Yeah,
17 of them showed up, which was a high number.
Yeah.
We got 50% of them, so I mean that was really good. But I mean on a given week, I mean I can talk to racers, and I know Josh is coming, and I know so and so is coming. Well, let me message Fitzgerald, see if he's coming. And I'll be there.
That's probably why he's coming so much.
Well, I mean, listen. I mean, listen. For the amount of action he brought, he should have been asking for a little tow money. Okay.
Yeah.
He might have got a little extra. Hey, man, keep it exciting. Got the wrestling ring over here next week. Y'all come on up.
Yeah. You got Nathan Wheat over there getting ready at his own corner.
Holy smokes, man!
I will never forget that day. He rode by me on a bicycle. He said, "I'm gonna go over here and wrestle." I said, "You crazy?" He said, "Watch and see."
Oh yeah.
It wasn't 20 minutes later.
Yeah,
he had told me in the pits he was going. I didn't believe him. I said, "Yeah, okay, whatever."
I think that's the same night the PT Cruiser and the other that Eagle Talon or whatever showed up to race with us too. We blew our clutch up. Yeah. So and we were all in intermission when they was having the wrestling and stuff. Yeah. And I looked up and I'm like, "What in the world is going on there?"
Yeah. It took the wrestlers a minute. They didn't know whether that was planned or not. They didn't know who he was. Yeah. They kind of got like stunned, and then all of a sudden they go to grab for him, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, even going and looking at it TikTok, man, it's just it was funny. Definitely entertaining there.
I tell people all the time, you never know what you might see here.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy. It was a funny night that night.
Yeah, but the whole thing with the front wheel drives, man, and I don't mind even calling them out by name. You know what I mean? It was, last off season, the whole catalyst for the Outlaw 4 division, because I wasn't going to do anything. I was like, man, I done tried this U car, done tried running what you brung, done tried all these things, and I'm pretty much out. Well, you got Kerry Thomason and John Songer and Chris Amos, which Chris was the only one to show up every week.
Oh man, yeah. He was fighting troubles here at the racetrack.
Oh man,
still trying to run.
Yes,
and he's got a good looking race car.
Yep, just never could get it to run right.
Just couldn't get it to run. And I really don't know. Rear wheel drive's just been my thing. And yeah, I think once they start getting their cars figured out, kind of like what Barry was doing.
Yeah,
I think they'll definitely be a force to reckon with. Down North Carolina, they're they don't win a lot, but they're up there.
Well, I mean, in the Northeast, I mean, they win right regularly. Front wheel drives too.
You don't see Mustangs up there racing with them too much either.
Yeah, well, the Northeast Mini Stock Tour, you got a mix.
Yeah.
Which they don't really exist anymore. I don't know what it's called. It's called something else. But those guys, they run together, and run really well together. You know what I mean? And the front wheel drives are fairly competitive there. And like when Barry was here, I mean, even that Southeast, that was the race you were talking about. It wasn't the Carolina Mini Stock Challenge. It was Southeast Mini Stock. That was Bob Guptill's Southern tour that was here, and that was like 26 or 27 cars or something that day. I believe we started 19 in the regular Mini Stock race that night because we run them both. But Barry was really competitive in that. I believe that this past weekend at Dillon, that Cody LeBlanc, I believe he's got a front wheel drive. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think he finished second or third or something.
Yeah, he was up there running. I think he slacked off a little bit by halfway through. Just kind of just started picking them back off one at a time.
Yeah.
After that, and I think he come home second or third.
Yeah, I believe so.
Like
I believe so.
Yeah, that was a pretty exciting race to watch. And watching the street stocks run down there, man, it's just. I think like next season, if them, just saying, hypothetically, if there was a show up, start racing here, I'd sell my mini stock stuff and go street stock racing. Because that's what really grabbed me here. When I was a kid, was watching them guys like Lloyd and a bunch of other drivers, racing and stuff. And
I think the days, just my opinion, the days of street stock racing probably in this area are probably over.
Probably.
But I'm gonna tell you what I think could work, and one that I would love to try. I can't get to divisions I got to get where, like the stock fours are about where I need them to be. The Legends cars are really close to where I need them to be. At the end of the year, the mini stocks were right where I needed them to be.
Yeah. And really,
big cars, we ain't even going to talk about those.
You had talked about canceling the class. And,
100%.
That was one of the big reasons why I went ahead and just dealt with it and brought 2 race cars, because I don't want this class. All the hard work that I'd put in and my family's helped me put into these cars, and just to see it get canceled and really have nowhere else to race but North Carolina, or Kingsport. It's just it'd be a waste.
It would, for sure. But I think they got this division called the Pro V8s at Hudson Speedway in New Hampshire, I believe it is. And they've basically they're like the old pure stocks were here, like automatic transmissions and street tires, and and they go racing. And I think that would be a great division here or anywhere.
BFGs, I think, don't they?
Something like that.
Yeah, I've watched them a few times. Man, they beat the daylights out of each other.
Yeah,
and they drive it in there.
Yep.
About like way me and Fitzgerald was doing each other down here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's like talking to Doodle Lang the other day, and he goes back to the old street stock days.
Oh yeah.
Him and Dean Cannaday and Matt Taylor and
Jay
and
Jay Altizer. I think it's Jay. He run a 42.
Yeah, Jay Perry.
Yeah,
Jay Perry. So
he's actually one of the meat guys at my Kroger's.
Yep. Yeah, Jay and you had Red Hartman and Mike Looney and all those guys. And that's where a lot of these guys, most of the racers here started in IndyCar. You want to talk about your IndyCar experience here in just a minute. You did not start in IndyCar.
No.
But most of the guys started in IndyCar and then moved to like street stock, pure stock division. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I think the age people that want to race, that those cars probably fit them better than a front wheel drive car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We get the front wheel drives are cool, and like the stock 4 is coming along.
Right. Like you're talking about the stock 4 versus the street stock.
Yeah.
How they raced against each other in their own class.
Yeah. For sure.
That sounds about right. It's just two different platforms of cars.
Yeah, for sure.
Just same crazy still there.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And those guys in the stock 4, they raced just like those guys did back in the day. Those pure stock and street stock guys, they would beat and bang and just be all over each other and just. Yeah. Every race was just wild to watch. And they get a bad rap. The stock 4s get a bad rap. Well, I don't. The Stonewall nicely. He goes, well, I hope they don't bring that up here to the mini stocks. Well. But y'all wrecked way more than the stock 4s actually did. They beat and banged and beat the crap out of each other, but they didn't really have that many cautions.
I think the only scare that we had with the stock 4 coming to our class is when you entertained it to Wes. Out there. He got there with practice with us and ended up putting me in the wall in the process. But,
I was
like, he ain't coming to race, is he?
He was going to run some outlaw races, but I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. That's an interesting character of his own there.
Oh yeah.
But I mentioned your IndyCar experience. Tell us about your fabulous. How many races did you run?
I run one, and I think it's probably the last one, not unless if I find a Cadillac or a Lincoln to bring back, or even a big Monte Carlo.
For people who don't know, IndyCar is seatbelt, helmet, and no brains, basically.
Right.
And you've definitely qualified for the no brains getting in there.
Yeah.
If you're willing to get in it, you ain't got no brains.
Yeah.
Well, you pretty much have to.
And I think that was the same year that we didn't run much either.
Yeah.
And I think we were having more car problems than anything.
Yeah.
So we kind of just give up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I kind of was looking around. I found a Honda Civic.
Yeah.
And then
terrible car for any car.
Right. And lucky enough, it spun a bearing, so we weren't going to use it. But we done stripped this car.
Yeah.
And talked to Tony, Hausman.
Yeah.
Hausman Auto Parts or whatever.
Yeah.
And and he had his mom's Escort.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that'd be fine.
Another terrible car for any car.
And I forgot how small this car was. And it was a little 4-seater.
Out there racing big ass Cadillacs.
Right. Racing against these Stratuses and stuff like that. And,
Crown Vics, whatever.
Got put on the second row, and I'm like, this is not gonna be good. I think we was running 4th the whole time, and it was a big wreck in 3, and we were dodging it. And I think that's the Evo Lancer or whatever it was that was out here, the black and yellow car.
Yeah.
I seen him come. I looked over and seen him coming. I'm in a regular seat with my Hans device on, ready for a race, and I'm coming down the front stretch, and he right rears me, and it spins the car out. I end up sitting at the entrance of turn 1, backed up, and man, them guys were missing me by 2 or 3 feet. I tell you what, man, if that don't make you see Jesus, I don't know what else will. And I couldn't wait for a gap to open up so I could get out of that car and run across the track. And them guys, they make their duct tape window nets, and I had actually riveted a window net in the car, so I couldn't even get out of the driver's side and get on the wall. At least. And I don't think I'd do that again for a while.
Yeah, we don't allow duct tape window nets. I don't know what you're talking about over here.
Y'all may not have seen them then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they were made of something else, clear tape, or I don't know what it was.
Yeah. Clear tape, yeah.
No, we actually went this past year. We started requiring them to have a window net of some kind.
Yeah.
I would rather it work, but if it doesn't, that's okay too. That's an interesting class. I tell people all the time. People call me and they go, "Man, I'm thinking about running any car," and I'm thinking, well, my first question is usually, "Are you stupid?"
Yeah.
Because you got to be. In order to get out there.
I was stupid that day, definitely. Yeah, and I even called you, like, hey, man, I know we're racing. It was a 2-race weekend.
Yeah.
And I was like, can I just run my mini stock tomorrow? And it was repaired. It wasn't, it was mandated. It wasn't fixed.
Yeah.
And we come and run. I think we still broke, that next night. But yeah, heck with that, man. Props to you guys that run any cars, man, especially with the cars that way they're built nowadays,
Yeah. Well, and now, and even more so than when you were racing, they were a lot of big cars. Now it's kind of gone to like 6-cylinder cars, and they're super fat. Like at one car, I believe it's one of the Hearts, Trevor, maybe I think it's like 340, 360 horsepower, some craziness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that thing will fly.
Was it
turning like
one of them brought a Camaro?
16.9.
The black Camaro?
Well, you got that. Yeah, that's Robbie Young.
Yeah.
Had that car. I mean, that thing will fly too.
Yeah. That's a 20 teens.
2015, I believe.
Yeah, car out here racing against in any car. Who would ever think? Especially how much them cars cost nowadays, anyways.
One guy, I won't mention their name, but one guy told me that he bought his car for $8,500 to run any car.
Well, you had one that stole his mom's car or something right here, bring it up here. He won $1,000 to win or something.
He won $2,000. That was Ryan Woods. Yeah. He's been racing in stock 4.
I think that was a Nissan or something.
It was Altima, I believe.
Yeah. You said he was taking the headlights and stuff out of it.
He was. I thought he was kidding because I was setting up somebody in the souvenir stand. And I look out, and I'm like, what's this guy doing to this car out here? So I walk out there. I'm like, what are you doing, man? I brought this to race any car. He said, what do I got to do here? He was taking out his lights and took out all of his windows. And I'm like, you're serious? He said, yeah, I'm serious. And he didn't win on the track, no matter what. I mean, he still won the race. He still got paid $2,000. But he didn't win on the track. Nab Guffey, I believe, won that race. He's from Maryland, and at the time we had a really stupid rule. Didn't make any sense that the battery had to be in the stock location.
Oh, okay.
Well, his battery was behind his seat, mounted nicely, professionally, and so we tossed him out. But it was the rules.
Right.
And, so we tossed him out. Now, I changed the rule the next week because I told him, I said, man, I got to change this rule because that's stupid.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. But that is what the rule book said. I said, and, I mean, you had a chance to read the rules, so, whatever.
I'm going to ask you anyways, how was it when how was the rules back then with any car, back in the day when I was a kid,
I don't know that they really had many rules. I think they legitimately, when I say seatbelt, helmet, no brains, I don't think they really had any other rules.
Yeah.
Knock the glass out of it and go race.
The radio had to work.
Well, it was the U cars. That was the U cars in the beginning.
Yeah,
maybe any cars too at one time.
I think y'all had somebody actually dig out an old Camaro race car too and brought it up here in 17. It was a green.
Yeah. Well, it's just an any car. It is just a guy who took the time to put a cage and I think he'd run some like pure stock races, which didn't allow anything to be done to the car, so it was legal.
Yeah.
He didn't win. I think he
made a lot of people mad. Sorry.
The thing about racers is they get mad about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord, man.
Well, it's like what's been preached to me. It goes back to reading the rules and trying to figure out a gray area and just putting in the work, man. And then, you come back you come back to the track and you actually see some people get slipped through.
Yeah.
On rules. It's like, look, you got to stick to this stuff. And,
Right.
And then meanwhile you're trying to find the gray and everything too.
Sure. Yeah. And it's a challenge because 9 times out of 10 the tech man, he has less time to worry about teching you than you have to worry about finding the gray area.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
He's
'Cause-
ready to get his money going.
Well, and he's a one-day employee.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's coming and making his $100 or whatever the amount is, and
I think the challenge is getting him to come back.
yeah. Well, listen, we've spent the last. I mean, Barry did about half a season, 2021. I did most of last year and the year before, and I do not profess to be a tech man or know anything.
You kept the stock fours under a blanket with that deal.
Well, we definitely did that. The stock fours, that was kind of, I could understand their rules so much easier and better, and they're simpler and shorter, and
Didn't have 3 styles of race cars in there. Yeah.
Good grief, man! Yeah, I mean, and they were pretty basic, and were there some guys that got away with some stuff? Sure, there always is. You know what I mean? But I brought Barry into tech one of the races in May last year, and he told me, he said, "You got these guys pretty good." He said, "I see a few things." He said, "But it ain't nothing I would even call them on."
Yeah.
So but he did tell me, he said, "Now there's one thing you might want to get under control." He said, "Because I can see in your rule book you basically allow it," and we fixed it after that race. But I mean, yeah, we had that division under control, but every other division was a challenge and a half. I mean,
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
But I didn't really like the whole deal with Daniel Hudson and spoiler, and I don't like disqualifying a guy for something that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
wasn't here for that exciting weekend. Yeah.
Oh man,
I heard that was a kind of a crap show on itself with that deal.
When they said it, and I looked over at the spoiler, and I'm looking at the roll, I'm like, I know that ain't gonna pass.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, it's just like I told Daniel. Daniel was like, "Well, you should." I said, "You should read
It's in the rules." Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, something that simple and that obvious, you should already know.
Well,
you should never have something that obvious.
I wasn't even planning on running a motor mile this year. This last 23 season.
Yeah.
And I went over their rules.
Yeah.
And I even hollered back at Doodle like, "Hey, look.
Yeah.
You seen the rule book? What's been pulled out? What's not there? To versus what's there now." And he didn't know. And he actually went back and he's all like, "Oh no, this got to be fixed. This was there last year, but it's not there now.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is on rewriting rule books every year. Something's going to fall out. But it's people like him and the people that really read it and that, hey, look, what happened to this rule and needs to stay because competitors are going to find the gray. And we're going to bend them. We're going to try to break the rule, if we can without getting caught. But it's a lot of work.
Yeah, Chad Burner asked me the other day when we were going to have the rules out, and I told him, I said, any car that was legal last year is legal this year. Now, I didn't mean if they passed tech. Right. I just meant if they were actually legal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's like a faith thing right there. Like, hey, look, if you're actually legal, come on.
I mean,
they're like, oh yeah, I was legal.
Yeah.
I was legal.
Yeah. Everybody was legal until they get caught. But I mean, like the mini stock rules this year, they're basically just going to be the Carolina Mini Stock Challenge rules with the exceptions of what we need to add to allow the motor mile cars to race with us.
Well,
and that simplifies everything.
100%. If they want to go to built stuff, I think you're going to implement a weight penalty for that too, to kind of keep the playing field a little more level, for people that just get into mini stocks and or people that just can't afford to spend that much money on certain parts and stuff.
Right. Well, you know what the stupidest part about racing is? And I find this all the time in all rules in every division. The stock parts are 9 times out of 10 higher than the aftermarket parts, and you go and you see that and you go, like at Motor Mile one year, I remember in the limited division they had 603 motors only, and they had these springs or whatever, and they were cheaper to get this by like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah,
and they were basically the same thing, but we got to throw them out because they're not the exact one it's supposed to be in.
I'm wondering if it's the spring that kind of looked like a big spring, but it was still on like a 2-inch spring platform.
No, this is valve springs.
Oh, valve springs.
Yeah,
okay,
but it very, very, just just things that don't make sense. And there's a lot of things in racing that don't make sense. I read rule books all the time, and because people send me a rule, hey, what do you think about this rule book? And I read it and I go, oh boy, it makes me look like I'm a genius because this is stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can and that's what's happened in the mini stock division at every racetrack. Well, this part over here cost $1 less, so we'll just let them have it.
Yeah.
Well, this one over here, it's the same price, so we'll just let them have it.
Oh yeah, but
this guy's already got this. Well, we'll just let him have it.
It spends like $400 or $500 per shock or per strut.
Yeah.
And they go in there, they thinking they got the best of the best. They're going to be up front.
Yep.
Well, they're getting outrun by this guy that's running stock stuff. That's because that guy's he's putting in the work in the car, not putting in the work to put parts in, expensive parts in the car to make it work.
Right.
He's making the car work on a stock platform.
100%.
To me, that's impressive.
Yeah.
It's like with late models. I think y'all had a ride height here at 4 or 5 inches or something at one time.
Yeah,
and
4 inches, I believe.
Here this year and last year, and I think the year before, there was no ride height rule.
Yeah, we actually brought one back this year, but yeah.
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 And to me, man, they're great looking race cars, but you sit there and you watch them all run, they do like just big go-karts.
Yeah, oh yeah,
'cause they're all dependent on tires.
Well, and the problem is in every division, the next rule you make to fix the problem you got, it's going to create 3 more problems.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
and you can never solve them all because every time you fix one, you can just there's one coming down the pike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like when in the stock 4 division, we was talking about that earlier in the thing that Barry fixed, and that was they were extending their lower control arm. Mm-hmm. Get more camber, blah blah blah. Well, we fixed that problem. Well, then we don't have a rule in there that says that they have to be the same length on both sides. So they found that they could go on a Grand Dam or something and get one that was a half inch longer.
Right.
So basically they offset it that way. I'm like, wow, man. I mean, it's just every problem you fix.
You got a caster rule in there too, don't you?
Yep. Every problem you fix just creates another problem.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it really, and that's why like the Any cars, when we run Any cars or Enduros or whatever we end up calling them for the year. When we run them this year, I think they're gonna have like 6 rules, and that's it. Like right now there's
be stupid.
But
piece of junk race,
drinking beforehand should probably be a requirement, although the insurance would not allow that.
Yeah.
I'd probably get sued over that one, but I mean,
well, you do make them sign a waiver, so
yeah, that don't solve everything, but
right.
But like. I've learned, looking at other tracks, like the IndyCar rules we have now is 2 or 3 pages. Well, God, why do you need 2 or 3 pages for a class that has to be stock?
Well, there's been plenty of times I was sitting there in the infield and watched the last race, IndyCar race, and I sit there and hear people complaining about dirty racing.
Yeah.
In IndyCar. I'm like, it's run what you want.
Partially that's my fault, okay? And I'll tell you why.
It's your fault. Okay.
Yeah. IndyCar has always been, just kind of, not fully a demolition derby, but at least partially a demolition derby going in circles. Yeah. Well, in 2020, we had so many cars. Well, man, we'd have 38 cars this week. Well, the next week I'd have 6 because we destroyed 40 of them, and we didn't have a 38.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Or 36 or whatever the number was. And we just come back the next week and then we'd have another big, 30 or 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it was all different cars because they done destroyed all them. And I was like, man, I got to find a way for them to race more often. So I started, hey, we're not here to destroy cars. We're just, you can beat, bang, wreck, whatever. Just let's not destroy cars.
Yeah. And don't run tires on flats either.
Well, that was
Get off the racetrack.
Yeah, that too. I went, to fix the problem and created 3 more. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's what it does. And whatever you try to do, it creates more problems.
I think you had a stock tire rule too on that too at one time.
Yeah, we still do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember, when that green Camaro come and run, I think he had pickup truck tires on or something.
Yeah,
and
something like that.
He had won, and there was a lady complaining because he was on a truck tire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that deal. That was, I'm like, still standing back. I'm like, it's any car. You guys would literally not survive. When I was 9, 10 years old with them guys racing any car, you're talking about, they'd race street stock or some other class and then run that same car in that class in any car, or they steal their ex-wives' cars and race in that class and destroy them on purpose. You know.
One guy got spun out last year and never came back. Literally, I don't think it did any damage to his car. He got spun out and never came back.
Wow.
I'm like, holy crap, how far have we come from any car? I mean, I remember after any car races, and I mean, even in 2020 that was the case, but, you know, really back in the day when I was a kid, there'd be so many damn cars laying around the racetrack. It'd be Tuesday or Wednesday before you could get them all moved.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, yeah, you know.
I mean, just laying everywhere. Parts just everywhere.
The one thing I noticed about the IndyCar, too, is that you don't play the Wipeout song no more either.
Well, we do now. We didn't. We do now.
I remember that song before they even hit the racetrack, that song got played by your dad.
Yeah.
And people would stand up ready to watch it wreck.
Oh, yeah.
Ready to watch it wreck.
100%. And I think that's one of the things that's hurt us is that there's no entertainment value to that class anymore. It's just another race.
You know, it's like, you know, you used to see parade laps, not only this track, but, you know, other tracks. You know, they'd have their ambulances and, you know, people out there on little yard carts, you know, sponsoring their businesses and stuff. And, you know, like y'all did the kind of tribute here and the kind of tribute at Motor Mile and stuff, you know. You just don't see that stuff no more, you know.
No, it doesn't happen and it's hard to organize. I'm gonna tell you, last year 9/11, I worked for 3 months trying to get all the people together to where we could do, you know, like a lap or whatever, and you know, I couldn't get them all on the same page.
I'd love to see a salute to the fans. You know, lap all the racers and their race cars get out there and just run, you know, at a slow pace at 4 wide, you know, with flags up, saluting the fans, you know.
Right.
If it weren't for them, we wouldn't be here too.
100%. No doubt about it. This is an interesting business where it takes everybody. I mean, and there's 4 aspects to this business. I tell people all the time we don't primarily don't have one of them, but we have the 3 others. Most of the time, fairly okay. You know, car counts have been up and down, and you know, whatever. But fan count, you know, it's always been okay. Last year it dipped, you know, but everywhere dipped. You know what I mean? Because you know, when it started dipping here, I'm like, gosh, man, what are we doing? And then I start watching races on Flow. Well, Lord, there ain't nobody there either. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm looking at a dirt race. They're paying $30,000 to win, and gosh, they got 32 people in the stands. What are we doing?
Oh yeah, or you know, it'd be a kind of a, you know, like chilly day, and the wind would kick up here, and man, you've seen everybody start leaving just because it got so windy.
Oh, 100%.
I think it did. I think the only time it didn't do that was when the car store was last here.
Yeah.
When you know, both car stores races that you had, both of them got rained.
Yeah.
But they didn't rain them out. You know?
Yeah.
And you know, you and them guys, it was pretty impressive to see y'all keep that going in one night.
Yeah, they did a heck of a job. They did have this one really bad idea that I'm glad they didn't try to implement. They said, well, if it gets any more rain, we're gonna dump Stay Dry on the entire racetrack.
Who's Stay Dry, yours or theirs?
I don't think they brought any, and they weren't getting mine. I can just tell you that for sure. And they were going to pay a lot of money to clean that up because that would have took days.
I know one race that was when we was racing South Boston in the mini stocks. It had poured rain.
Yeah. And they got a lot of weepers there.
Yeah. Well, they was having the water coming out of the walls.
Yep.
And what they did, they took Stay Dry and made like a little wall of Stay Dry around the whole walls.
Yeah.
And we were still running through the water though.
Listen, I was at a race at South Boston before they repaved. And this was, I'm going to say 2004, 2005, somewhere in that neighborhood back then. Maybe before that, maybe 2001. But they literally, they had a weeper on the track. They put as much Stay Dry there and put a cone on top of it. Don't hit the cone. And I mean, it's in the middle of the track. So just don't hit the cone.
First one to hit the cone.
And they run the entire 200 lap late model race and did not hit the cone.
Wow.
It was impressive.
Yeah.
It really was. I remember, and that's not the only time that they had to do that. I mean, because it weeped that bad. Wow. If they'd get rain for 2 or 3 days, I mean, that thing would just weep and just pour back out.
Well, this track, it weeps a little bit, but not
very
not
little.
Like that. Yeah. And it's
Very
mainly
little.
in one.
Well, we had developed a spot where it was weeping over here in turn 4, but when we patched the concrete over here before the last modified race, hadn't done it since.
Yeah.
So whatever we did fixed that problem, and then we got on the backside, there's like a I'm not going to say that it is a French drain, but it's like a French drain back there in the middle of the backside.
Yeah.
And if it rains for 4 or 5 days straight, and it rains a lot, you'll see it just kind of seeping back to the top of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, because that coming out of 2, if you're up high, you can actually see the little dip in the racetrack right there.
Yeah,
where it's at.
There's all kinds of dips.
This track's got dips.
This place has the most character of this and Orange County probably has the most character of any 2 tracks anywhere.
Yeah, I think if any 2 tracks were like related, it'd be Hickory in this place.
Yeah, Hickory too. Yeah. Hickory's got a lot of character too. They're getting. I don't know if it obviously won't happen this year. They're gonna repave, I believe, into next year. They've already repaved the infield.
Yeah, I seen online where they started cutting it up. And
yeah.
I think one of their biggest things was like, we're gonna get the bathrooms next.
Yeah. Well, bathrooms. We had to renovate the ones in the pits, and I need to renovate the ones outside, but that's a lot of money, and we ain't figured out how to pay for that yet. So, we'll get there hopefully one day. Eventually, got a lot of things here. So 56-year-old facility.
Money,
yeah. Well. Yeah, I mean, he's probably giving about as much as he can give. So,
you know, like next Yellowstone up there, I guess.
Yeah, right. Kim, you got any questions? Anything I didn't talk to him about?
No, not really. I think you guys have covered everything under the sun.
I mean, you've been pretty quiet over there. I had to look over and make sure you weren't asleep earlier.
No, I wasn't sleeping. I was just listening, taking it all in.
Okay, yeah. Anything you were expecting me to ask you about that I didn't?
No, not really. I knew you was going to ask me about this upcoming season, and
and your boy Fitzgerald, you knew I was going to ask about
Fitzgerald. Become pretty good buddies with Stonewall too.
Yeah,
he actually let me run his car, and never been in his car, and he let me race it at last.
I'd have had a much better points battle, if he hadn't. But
Yeah, I couldn't let that. I knew that was what was going to happen because, I was like, I was already thinking the racing was over with, and he was like, no, we got one more outlaw.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh crap. And my car is backed up on the open trailer, broke. From where me and Stonewall collected. It ended up breaking the strut and stuff on busted the strut and stuff, and and I actually helped him fix his car, and he won that race. And then I walked up to him, after talking to you, and I was like, if he lets me run his car, can I run it? And you said, yeah. And I walked up to him, I said, can I talk to you and your dad? And they were like, yeah, let's go over here and talk to Dad for a second. What do you need? I said, well, I want to talk to y'all both. And and I got them together at the trailer, and I said, look, this is y'all's baby. I understand 100%. I think y'all know what I'm trying to do here. I said, can I borrow your race car?
Yeah.
And he looked at his dad, and his dad looked at him. He was like, I don't care. And Stonewall was like, get in and drive that thing, boy.
Yeah.
And I think by then they both had a couple beers.
And,
my wife, I go down there to get my helmet and told Adriana to, get my transponder out of the car because I know I was going to need it.
Yeah.
And to keep the confusion down,
Sure.
And she's like, you ain't doing racing? What are you racing in? I was like, I'm taking Stonewall's car. Which one is that? I said, the 27, the black one. She's like, the one you got into a wreck with? I was like, yeah. I thought you were done. I was like, no. I said, I got a chance. I got to jump in it, And,
right.
I was pretty surprised, jumped in it and fell back behind David Duncan for a couple laps and got used to the car. And I think if I had maybe 5 more laps, I probably could have done something with Jason Garwood. Jason ended up winning that race.
Yeah.
Finished the second to him.
Yeah. And Jason wasn't even going to run that race. He's like, man, these idiots, they're about to kill each other tonight.
Oh, yeah. He thought it was done, too. He said, man, after the race, he said, man, my car tightened up bigger than crap. And just, I said, man, I was digging. I said, I never really drove his car. I said, but, I was going to try to win it. And he said, oh, I seen you there. He said, you traced me down a lot, almost the whole straightaway to a couple cars. And like I said, it's a lot of fun, man. And this season, it was kind of a developmental season for me to really see where I'm at, what have I accomplished. And this year's been the number one year for me.
Now you got to defend your title.
Yeah,
going to be harder to do with the format. We're going to a playoff style format where 3 drivers last race will have a chance.
Oh yeah.
The winningest driver of the season, the highest points guy for the season, and whoever does the most in the quote unquote playoff races there at the end.
Yeah.
So I mean, it'll be interesting.
That is going to be interesting. And I hadn't even got started on the white car. The white cars have been on jack stands since the last.
Well, you got to get Tyler's car ready first.
Well, Tyler's not going to run much. I think Tyler's going to concentrate on Bowman Gray. And when Bowman Gray ain't running, he's going to come and spot for me. Me and him done talked about it because I thought for surely he was coming back for next season to race with me. But he is coming back to try to help me as much as he can. And, you know,
he's got that Bowman Gray bug right now.
Oh yeah.
A couple of Winston-Salem ass weapons, and he probably won't have that bug no more.
And Winston boys, they whoop his ass, or they'll destroy his race car a couple times, and I think he'll come back to Franklin. He loves it down there. I run my car that I got from Zach Stanley down there at one time, and I had a blast. But the cost, versus reward to me, just it wasn't there. Heck, I think I spent $1,500 in 2 days and won 45. But started sixth and finished third.
And that's one thing, before we go, because I done had you here for over an hour and a half now.
Really? Has it been that long?
One of the things I wanted to say, you're talking about risk versus reward down there. Tell people, because people don't, when I tell them this, they don't believe me. Here, we don't have the highest payout of anywhere you go. But when you come in, cost versus what you get at the end of the night, it usually pans out as good or better than anywhere else from everybody I've talked to.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, we took a car. We didn't have it. We wasn't running on their tires. We was running on 790s. They were running on the Super TDs. It was a really super soft tire. And I spent $45 for me, 40, same cost for me and my wife and my kid to get in, and Danny, and right there's almost $200. And then you got to buy fuel, then hotel fees, all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
and then fuel back and stuff, and like I said, it was almost $1,500. And I got a $50 off on 2 tires. And $45 from them people. And it's like, what in the world?
Right.
Why did I even come here? It's like, well, we went to Carteret and run for the $2,000 a win. We spent that going down there.
Oh, I guarantee it.
And brought back a car that had been put in the wall on the right side, but it hit on the left side. Toe knocked out an inch, and a wore out motor that was getting ready to blow up. Actually ended up blowing up next season.
I usually laugh when people tell me, I'm going to go run this old big race down here. It pays pretty good. And I think to myself, you're going to spend what it pays to win or more to go race this race. Unless you're AJ Sanders and you're traveling every week, and Michael Tucker and those guys, and that's your deal. You know what I mean? You're going to spend more money to go to that race.
Well, when I was racing go-karts, you kind of, when the flatheads were the big thing, you kind of heard every now and then a guy that raced a few years, back in the day, just brought back an old a go-kart and come out and kick butt.
Sure.
And the cars, 10, 15 years ago, that could still happen. Nowadays, you don't hear about it. It's unheard of now. And, if you're, I think last year at Dillon, they had that big white Monte Carlo, looked like, it looked like it got pulled out of a barn. He didn't run with the crap, but it was a good showing because it was an old true super stock. Super street. Street stock, and I get it right.
There's 30. Well, you got the same guys that are quote unquote street stocks in the mass street stock race that they just had.
Oh, they put more money.
They also run the Stars Super Stock series with the same rules. So you had it close to right or whatever you want to say.
And it's just I think like if you're getting into racing to win money, you might as well just not get into racing.
I agree.
Especially now, the way the expenses are. But if you're getting into racing to have a great time and developing a great experience and meeting new people and maybe starting like a family legacy like with Turner Harts, the Yarboroughs and Petties and stuff like it, great. Do it. We need more racers. We need more cars for sure. We need more tracks to open back up and to make the availability. Like down there, North Carolina, South Carolina, they have 3 racetracks. Some guys go from racetrack to racetrack. They can do it in 1 week and they'll do it. But
the racers around here don't even do that even when they are open. Motor Mile,
it's too far.
Motor Mile, Franklin. But Motor Mile and Franklin County are not that far apart. They still don't travel that much.
I did it
between
one
the two.
time. I run Ace on Friday night, and then destroyed my race car at Ace. And then went to Motor Mile, and it was an 18. Yeah. And I was putting back.
Had to have been in 19. They were closed in 18.
Yeah, 19. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I was putting another rear end in my car, putting new shocks on the back of it because I had.
Yeah,
I brought
remember
a car
that.
to the racetrack. Yeah, I brought a car to the racetrack to fix it.
Yeah,
It ended up getting actually totaled, and it was done that race.
Yeah.
Me and David Helm got it and tangled and put in the wall. But yeah, it's just it's a lot of work. It's hard to do. I guess if you want to spend, I think you've even heard if you want to spend $1 million in racing, don't.
Yeah.
You better bring 2.
Yeah. If you want to leave with $1 million, you better start with 2 for sure. Yeah. And that goes for every aspect of racing. Yeah. You want to promote races, you better bring some money. That's all I got to tell you. Guy asked me one time. He said, "What do you think your risk is?" $12,000 a race. That's my risk. $12,000 per race. He said, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah, I'm serious. It's $12,000 per race. That's how much I could lose today."
Oh yeah,
He said, "You're comfortable with that?" Nope. No, I'm not.
But you don't have the overhead like a lot of these racetracks do.
I mean, in different ways, they're all different. You know what I mean? I don't have the overhead that somebody that's paying a mortgage on a racetrack does.
Yeah.
But everything else I've got, just somewhat at a smaller level. I mean, I guarantee you, the risk for a track like South Boston is probably $30K a race.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it actually starting with that, it goes even from like this track to bigger tracks. It gets more.
Oh yeah,
that cost gets a whole lot more. Like
100%.
You sit there. If you weren't going to Martinsville, you watch Martinsville on the track and you see fans.
Yep.
Just that place to be sold out.
Oh yeah.
Now you can go there. You can buy a ticket. You don't have to sit in that seat. You can sit in another seat, a better seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 100%.
And then I think the last Martinsville we went to, me and my wife went to, it was before COVID, and I think Tony Stewart won that night.
Yeah.
I'm used to going to tracks like that and buying beer. Well, they had liquor.
Yeah.
Who sells liquor at the racetrack? I remember going with my parents, and you see people sneaking in liquor.
Yeah, right.
A lot's changed from what it was to now.
I mean, there was a time at Carteret you could buy real moonshine in the moonshiners.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
When Bobby Watson was there. Yep, absolutely. I'd never forget that because it was in jars of like legal moonshine.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. That ain't the same thing.
Yeah.
That is definitely not legal moonshine right there, for sure.
But being in this county, it shouldn't be too hard to find moonshine either.
I don't know anywhere you could ever find any moonshine anywhere around here. You'd never see it on this property. I can't imagine that would be seen.
Probably you wouldn't see it.
Yeah, I wouldn't look for it. All right, man. I'm gonna turn you loose if you ain't got anything else.
The only thing I got to say is just, anybody take anything from this, man, just if you ain't afraid to put in the work, go at it full board, be conservative, get what you need at the times you really need it, spend the money where it's going to mean the most. Heck, if you got a barter or beg or whatever, do what you got to do with these race cars. Try to make it a family aspect too. Family's a big thing with racing.
100%.
And, I've never seen a place like this to come in and be a total stranger and in a couple of weekends, man, everybody knows your name.
They just welcome you in and roll on down the road.
Oh yeah, and listen to all the drama. You
got constant drama, and I'll say one other thing before we go. We've talked a lot of the negative of racing, and there's a lot of positive in racing too.
A lot of positive.
And I'm gonna tell you, I think honestly, and I may be way off, don't know. I think we're gonna have one of our best seasons this upcoming season. Just the things I see, and people I talk to, and things that I hear.
A lot of racers that don't normally.
Yep. And I don't think it has a lot to do with. I don't think it has a lot to do with Motor Mile not being open or anything like. It's not even people from there. It's just people. Hey man, I bought a car. I hadn't raced in 20 years.
Oh
and, so hopefully we have a good season.
I talked to Jason Garwood. I think he's coming back.
Yep.
So he didn't know how many races he's coming back. But he's building a car just for here. Stonewall. He's trying to get his car fixed and to be ready here.
Yeah. I told him today. He said, well, I don't know if I'll be at the first race. I said, well, get the tube car ready. They have it here. Then you have two that's ready.
That thing's in worse shape than
it don't matter. Just drag it out. It don't matter. Get it ready.
We'll push him around.
I mean, whatever we got to do. I mean, you're going to have one of your cars here the first race. So.
If it'd be all right with you, I like to think,
yeah, man.
Thank God that, he allows me to be here every day and talk to you people. and meet new people and fans and stuff. And, thanks to all my sponsors that's been there, like, Tyree Landscaping, Cox Garage Doors, Andrew Jackson with Amsoil, and Community Inn, Euro Specialties that sponsored me for the Dillon race the last season.
Yep.
And Vistar Eye Care, people that's just, they're kind of small sponsors, but they've been real big to me,
Yeah.
And
every little bit helps, man, no matter how small.
And it's a lot of little things in life, man. It means a lot more now than it did back then. To me it does. And it's just especially being a racer and a car owner and doing it all on your own now.
Right.
It's a lot. And just to have that little bit of help, man. It's just,
yeah.
If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. And
right.
I wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for the people that's helped me in the past. With my family and all that stuff too.
Yep.
But
I mean, it takes it all for sure. No doubt about it.
And thanks to all my competitors, that's helped me be the racer that I am to be. And
even Gary Fitzgerald.
Even Gary Fitzgerald. Yeah. And not being afraid to jump in there and fix the race car when it's broke before the next weekend.
And he keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, he does. He will keep you on your toes. But just never know where he's going to be at on the racetrack.
I got to get him on here one week to talk a little crap here.
Oh,
he'll definitely do it.
Are you inviting me back on that one too?
I mean, I may need to for sure. We've talked about having some rivalry episodes where we, sit guys down and talk with them both at the same time.
I think that would be a great gathering because they'll sit back and laugh about it.
Yeah.
But like I said, me getting out there and racing on my own and trying to help another driver, Tyler, and setting my new car up for him to run, and him taking off the way he did with it. I was just really impressed with him, man. He's a low budget guy too.
Yep.
And it was, now, short tracks, 85% of the racers there are low budget racers.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And you keep us coming
here
back.
probably even more so than that. There's probably 100% here that are low budget racers. Yeah. I mean, even Kyle Dudley, comparative to guys who race the car store, is a low budget racer.
Yeah.
So.
There's plenty of times that his car is on Buck Wild. 4 or 5 different colors.
Yeah.
Tangling it up.
Yeah, I think they raced a little different back then. His team in general.
Oh yeah. Well, watching the beginning of that of the show of Buck Wild, you see the one late model come around and hitting the other late model that's backing into it, fires and stuff like that.
Crazy stuff for sure.
Thanks to everybody this year. From me, from down deep in my heart, man. If it wasn't for none of y'all completely, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Yeah. So. Well, we appreciate you being who you are and being on here with us, and hopefully you'll have another good season coming up and defend your mini stock championship. I don't want to see anybody else slip in from out of town and steal that away from you.
Yeah, I thought Jason was going to be a contender because he was talking about coming back every weekend, but he had to miss a few weekends because he was in a points battle down there.
Yeah. They typically they get started before us, which they run like January 27th. I don't know if that's a points race or not. So that kind of gives them a little jump start on us points wise. But
I forgot. Altizer and Maxie, they, Eddie Lang, jumping in there and let me get a place with him and get my car and stuff. He was a big help to me too. So,
well, good deal. All right, man. Appreciate you being on, and hopefully we'll have a great season coming up. You can keep up with the Pit Chatter Podcast. I done called it about 5 different names while you're practicing, but Pit Chatter Podcast. It's kind of hard to say, after you get going, but you can keep up with it at fcspeedway.com. We'll have it on all the platforms, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Spotify, everything else. Have it out there, and we'll come back and have another episode next week. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, especially being the first one.
Yep. First out the gate.
Yeah.
Now you got to stay first the rest of the year.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. All right.